Hello everyone, and welcome back to Mudlick Creek Garage. In this video, we're going to show you how to apply fluid film to the underside of your pickup truck or car, whichever you have. So, we're going to show you the steps. So this video is going to be a two-segment video. So the first segment is going to be how to apply the fluid film onto your vehicle, and the second segment is going to be why fluid film works, what fluid film is, and why it is one of the better options to put on your vehicle. And there's going to be a timestamp to that down below. Sorry it's a little dark out. Time's been getting away from me today. But your first step is going to be power wash the entire frame decently clean. So obviously, this is a 09, so it does have some rust on the frame. The previous owner didn't take good care of it, so we got what we got. You're just going to power wash it all clean. As clean as you can get it. Rust really doesn't matter. You are going to want to take and brush a majority of your large rust off the frame, just so you don't have to worry about it. So that is going to be step one in applying fluid film to your vehicle. So now that we have the truck pressure washed, you're going to want to either lay on the ground underneath the truck or pick it up. You're going to get all this loose rust and get all that scraped off the frame, because that is going to not allow the fluid film to adhere to the base metal. Now, you don't have to worry about the metal being perfectly clean. It just needs to be decently clean to give it something to adhere to the parent material. So, now that the truck is ready to be sprayed, we have to get the material from the bucket into the canisters to apply to the truck. So this can be a little bit tricky depending on what your materials are to get it done. I personally like to use a big funnel and a stick. And I'll stick the big funnel into the container, support it with my barrels here, and I'll just pour from the 5-gallon bucket into the funnel, and I'll just kind of push it down the funnel with a stick. A couple of guys like to thin it out. You can thin it with canola oil, I believe, and that'll allow it to run easier. Or if you take it and you put it in a hot water bath, that'll melt the material down, not really melt it, but thin it out, and you'll be able to use it a little bit easier. So let's get to spraying this on the truck. One last thing before spraying is there's 3 ways to apply it. You have the tip, which you're going to use for all your main open areas. There is the inside frame tip, which has these holes on the sides. You stick this in your frame and then you spin it around, and that's going to coat the inside. And then there is a extended reach, which is just a smooth bore at the end of a stick. So I like to go through, and I normally do all the inside of the frame, hard to reach areas first. Then I get all the areas I know I'm going to need this for second. And then I go through and just give the entire truck a healthy coating with the smooth bore. So now let's get to spraying it on the truck. So to start, you're going to go around and locate the holes in your frame. You're going to take your tip that sprays to the side, put it into the frame, just start spraying up, down, side to side. Try to get it everywhere. And you're going to do this for quite some time until you're confident that you've got a decent coating inside that frame. So I'm going to bore you, or I'm going to save you guys from boredom with me going around hitting every single hole. And we're going to come back when you can actually see what we're doing here, laying the coating on the outside. So now that you got the frame full, you're probably going to want to put some sort of mask on, just because the floating particles in the air, and make sure you're in a decently ventilated area. You're going to switch to the smooth bore tip, and you're just going to start spraying into all of these areas that you can't normally get into very easily with the normal tip. So you're going to get in all these areas and make sure you get a decent coverage, and then we will be back when it's time to spray the big areas. So I want to show you guys a few examples of other places I like to use the detail nozzle. So places like up in here where you can't really see that well, I'll use that longer nozzle because you can kind of get in and it's more precise. Or places like I have nice springs with nice shocks, So I'll use that detail nozzle to get in behind those springs to get the least amount on the springs and shocks as possible. So those are some other places I like to use the detail nozzle. Also, I'll use it to get on top of the frame rails, and I'll try to use it to get into some of these spots a little bit better. And another thing is, you're gonna turn around and you're gonna see spots you didn't get. So it's really just a matter of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until you get everything covered. So let's continue. So now that we've got all the hard to reach areas done, now we're into using the tip that you're gonna do a majority of your work with. This is going to be just the regular sprayer tip, and you're gonna wanna set your compressor at around 80 PSI, and then you're just gonna spray away. So you're gonna wanna get it on everything, but you don't need to do like the mats or the transfer case, transmission, engine, keep it off the exhaust, etc. Stuff like that. So let me spray this on and we'll come back and show you guys the finished product. I'd like to apologize because my hair's probably a wreck right now, but now that we got the undercoating done here on the Dodge, we're going to take a look into some of the reasons why you should choose fluid film over some of the other products out there. Now, I'm not paid, so what I'm telling you is just coming from personal experience, what I've seen on others' vehicles. I personally like to use a lanolin-based coating. So lanolin is essentially the same product that makes sheep's wool waterproof. It's hydrophobic, so that means it repels water. So that's what's going to propel all that salt, slush, all that grime that rusts your vehicle out, back out of the vehicle, and it's going to create a barrier of protection. So a couple big benefits to fluid film versus other undercoating, or I should say a lanolin based undercoating or an oil based compared to other undercoatings, is it doesn't actually dry. It stays moist, kind of greasy. That way you can easily wash it off if you have to. So if you're working on something under there, you can just rub on it and it comes right off, and you have a nice clean surface to work off of. And if you've done it since your vehicle's new, it's going to even retain, you're not even going to have rust on the bolt head, stuff like that. Another major benefit to fluid film is it actually acts as a penetrant. So kind of like PB Blaster, over time the coating will actually slowly work its way into the bolts, and it'll actually free up some of the rust. Now that being said, don't go out and buy this stuff and immediately spray it on bolts and expect it to work the same way, because fluid film is nowhere near as strong of a penetrant as they are, but it is a penetrant. So another benefit of it being so gooey and never actually drying is it doesn't trap anything in. So inherently your vehicle is not going to be perfect when you fluid film it. It's a fact of life. So you're trying to essentially kind of seal the stuff in there but it's not going to trap moisture, it's not going to trap any of that stuff. So like with a rubberized kind of undercoating like this had before, which is why it has so much rust on it, is there are small amounts of rust that had started places, and then they just rubberized undercoated over it, and what that did is it made it essentially rust underneath the coating because it trapped all that moisture in, and just made the entire thing significantly worse than it should have been if they would have just went through and either A, left it alone, or B, went through with some sort of oil or lanolin based coating. It would have done substantially better, and it would have saved the truck. This is definitely something that if you go out and buy a brand new vehicle, you're going to want to get on top of this. So I do this kind of as a side deal for friends and family. And I've seen some trucks come in here, like not much older than this, or not much newer. You know, this is an 09, I worked on a 12, that had been fluid filmed since brand new. And the truck looked like it's seen 1 or 2 New York State winners. So overall, my opinion, it's a good product. It's definitely worth applying to your vehicle, especially if it's new or something you want to keep nice. But that's it for today, guys. Thank you all for watching Mudlet Creek Garage.